You read that title right. We're still talking about the DoorDash girl situation. I was afraid because of how fast TikTok moves, this situation was going to be dead by the time I finished my last video. Because a topic or meme on TikTok lasts no longer than a week, and anything from about a month ago might as well be prehistoric history. But nope, they're dragging this shit out longer than the Ninja Low Taper Fade meme. And yes, Dashergate is still massive. If you're unfamiliar with this situation, I'm going to move forward with the assumption that you've seen my last video. If you haven't, why are you still here? Go watch my last video and come back. Daddy said so. What? Anyways, the last time I talked about the DoorDash girl, also known as irlmonsterhighdoll, her last TikTok post was on October 16th, 2025. But after the posting of my last YouTube video, irlmonsterhighdoll has broken her silence, but it was with just one TikTok video on October 26th, 2025. She once again retells her story of the incident that happened on October 12th, 2025.
For anybody who's just now hearing about this, what happened is October 12th, 2025, I was doing my job as a DoorDash driver, and my customer requested that their order be left at their front door, and when I arrived at their house, their front door was wide open, and they were within eyesight of the front door, laying on the couch indecently exposed to me. And I reported this to DoorDash, and I want to clarify, I did report this to the police the very next morning on October 13th. And DoorDash did ban the customer, and then a day and a half later, DoorDash banned me as well.
As covered in my last video, DoorDash supposedly made public statements on their TikTok story after irlmonsterhighdoll's incident, but I was not able to confirm the legitimacy of those story posts. In irlmonsterhighdoll's most recent TikTok on the 26th, she was able to confirm the legitimacy of those posts.
Regarding the video from a Dasher circulating today, we take reports of this nature with the utmost seriousness. We want to be absolutely clear this Dasher was not deactivated for reporting a sexual assault. If a Dasher ever experiences something that makes them feel unsafe or uncomfortable, we urge them to please contact our support team immediately so we can help, as their safety and well-being matter deeply to us. At the same time, publicly sharing videos taken inside a customer's home, especially when personal information is involved, raises privacy concerns and is a clear violation of our policies. In order to protect everyone's safety and privacy, we've deactivated both the Dashers and the customers' accounts and are working directly with law enforcement for additional guidance. We've seen some tough and sensitive posts over the past few days, and we want to clear the air. No one should ever have to experience sexual assault, harassment, or abuse, and DoorDash never deactivate someone for reporting it, full stop. We take these reports incredibly seriously and work closely with law enforcement to investigate and support those affected. In this case, the Dasher let us know about an experience that made them feel unsafe, and that's exactly what we always want Dashers to do. Our team immediately began investigating and has been in direct contact with law enforcement and is prepared to fully support any of their efforts. However, posting a video of a customer in their home and disclosing their personal details publicly is a clear violation of our policies. That is the sole reason that this Dasher's account was deactivated, along with the customers, while we investigated. We've also ensured that the Dasher has full access to their earnings. We know these are sensitive situations. We want every Dasher to know if you ever feel unsafe or experience something concerning, come to us. We're here to listen, act, and support.
She then addresses the claims that she entered the DoorDash customer's home.
There have been a lot of people saying things like I entered the customer's home or I opened the customer's door, but I can assure you that I did not do either of those things, and I have obtained irrefutable proof that the door was already wide open when I arrived to the customer's house. But due to its importance, I cannot post that proof at this time.
The TikTok is then ended by her thanking the people who have defended her, as well as thanking the people who spread misinformation about her for apologizing to her.
And to all those that have been supportive of me during this time, thank you so much. I've been seeing your comments and your videos and your messages, and trust me, I won't forget the love that has been shown to me during this time. And to any large creators that have made statements on my situation and then further retracted that and then issued me an apology, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Around the same time, late October, a TikToker by the name of KC Speaks popped up. He had found all of the DoorDash customers' actual information. This includes full address, full names, social media accounts. In my YouTube videos, I've made a special effort to not include even the first names of anybody involved in this situation, but KC just puts it all out there. And that's not even the worst part. In a series of TikTok videos, KC Speaks claims that irlmonsterhighdoll's DoorDash customer had a prior indecent exposure charge, as well as claiming the Dasher and the DoorDash customer went to the same high school.
Anyways, I found out that they went to the same high school, so I personally think and they don't live too far away from each other. So I personally think that he did it because he knew it was her. That's what I think. But y'all do with that information what you will. But I did find I figured out that you actually attended the same high school as Miss DoorDash girl, should we call her. Now one may think, and I'm just that one, that because of the fact that the town you live in is about this big, you kind of seen her name and you thought maybe, just maybe, this might be her, so you left your door open. But that's besides the point. There's something that I found out about you, Mr. Sir. Something that I found out when you were arrested. It says disorderly conduct, but I found the case and I figured out that it was actually for indecent exposure, and you pleaded down to disorderly conduct because it was your first offense. That's what I found out. So one would come to the conclusion,
For the indecent exposure charge, Casey shows some grainy screenshot. I don't know where he got this screenshot. I also don't know where he got the fact that the Dasher and the Dasher customer went to the same high school. But all of that is irrelevant because Casey had to take down all of those videos and issue an apology because Casey had the wrong guy.
I did say, if I was proven wrong, I will get on here and apologize. So let me tell y'all something. One of his friends is in my comments and she's showing the actual paper of which the night he got arrested. Now, I didn't see the paper at first, but I DM'd her and asked her, like, can you show me da-da-da-da-da? Because I will apologize as loud as I said that was the case. But I did see a sealed case that was around the same time. That's it, that's all. So yes, I ran with what I seen, but everybody fucking ran with what they seen anyway, including fucking AI. It is what it is. Was I wrong? Yes. That's not the same. Is it the same thing that lives in that house? You can't prove to me that that's not the same person that lives in that house. On that couch, laying on that couch, I don't know if that's him laying on that couch 100%, but he is a little chunky. That man with a little chunky, they look like two chunkies to me. But like I said, I am a fucking man and I will apologize as loud as I did, I guess, disrespect. Now, if you want to call it a lie, call it a lie. But I made a connection based off what I seen. And I said, hey, that's what I seen. I didn't necessarily lie, but if you want to call it a lie, call it a lie. And I'll take it. But I am also about to be going through my own litigation right now. So if he would like to sue me, just tell him to reach out and I'll give him everything that he needs.
The DoorDash customer does have an active court case, but it doesn't have anything to do with indecent exposure, sexual harassment, sexual assault, or anything of that nature. And I just find it hard to believe that the DoorDash girl knew the customer because in all the videos she made about this situation, she never seemed like she knew this guy. It always seemed like a stranger to her. But perhaps the most major development in this situation is the DoorDash girl has actually been arrested. This is actually something that you can look up and verify. I was in such disbelief, I had to double check myself. In the state of New York on November 10th, 2025, the DoorDash girl was arrested and she's being charged with 2 Class E felonies. We'll get more into that later. Though she was arrested on the 10th, the news didn't really break until the 17th. But as soon as the news broke, several TikTokers started making videos about the arrest. One of those being a TikTok creator by the name of Stephanie ESQ. She is an actual public defender in the state of New York, the same state that the DoorDash girl was arrested in. I double checked the bar just to be sure she's definitely an attorney. Because Stephanie is a lawyer, she has information not available to the public. So keep in mind, I'm trusting her word that the information that she has is legitimate. Stephanie has access to and shows the police blotter and the original police report made by the DoorDash girl. The police blotter basically has the same information as the public court case details, but the police report describes the response to the DoorDash girl as well as the DoorDash customer after the DoorDash girl called the police. In the police report, there's no mention of the DoorDash girl recording the customer or posting that video online, but in one of the first TikTok videos irlmonsterhighdoll posted, she explains that she showed the responding officer the video and she emailed it to him.
And I called the non-emergency line and they sent a police officer over to speak to me in person and watch the video that I have. And then he asked me to email it to him and he asked me if I want to press charges, like what do I want to come from this?
Still no mention of posting it online. In the police report, it does say that the DoorDash girl left a photo of the delivery for the customer on the DoorDash app, as Dashers usually do. But if we look at the DoorDash customer side of the story, the night of the incident, he had been drinking at a few bars and came home drunk and ordered DoorDash. There is zero mention of how the DoorDash customer's door got left open or his pants and underwear got pulled down, but Apparently, he ordered DoorDash before he passed out. And the order was for Wendy's, for anybody that gives a shit. The customer stated that he was very sorry for the incident and this was very unusual behavior for him. So the officer let him off with a warning stating that if it became a reoccurring issue, he could face charges. The police report said there was lack of intent because the customer was in his own home with, quote, no view to the public, but I'll talk about that part later. The Class E felonies that the DoorDash girl faced is 1 count of unlawful surveillance in the 2nd degree, and the second one is dissemination of an unlawful surveillance image in the 1st degree. The unlawful surveillance is because she recorded the customer in his home, and the dissemination is because she posted that video online. If found guilty, the punishments could include prison time, fines, and she could even have to register as a sex offender. But that is in an extreme case. The DoorDash girl was processed and released and has her first court date on December 4th, 2025. Though the DoorDash girl has been arrested, that doesn't really disprove my points from my previous video. The main point of the video wasn't to say who's more in the right or the wrong. I was trying to point out the problem that is the spread of misinformation. In Dashergate 1, my main issue was that the DoorDash girl never opened the customer's door or went inside of his house. And that point is important. That would change this situation considerably. There would be no debate on who was more in the right or the wrong. But still, to this day, there's no Ring camera footage. There's no visible Ring camera on the DoorDash customer's porch. I had someone on TikTok reach out and DM me pointing out that there is something inside the DoorDash customer's house that might look like a Ring camera, but the background of the video is so blurry and it hasn't been confirmed, but it's possible. In an article, the New York Post stated, however, Ring camera footage appears to show blank let herself into the man's house. The problem is they don't cite where they get this information from. And then several other tabloids started citing the New York Post, regurgitating the same information. I reached out to the author of the New York Post article asking where he got any of this information from. I received no response. The only new evidence I have regarding a Ring camera is from the police department that arrested the DoorDash girl. They put out a press release on Facebook. They mentioned independent video related to the incident has been collected and reviewed by the police department. But that doesn't explicitly mean Ring camera footage. And it especially doesn't mean independent video of the DoorDash girl opening the customer's door or going inside of his house. There could be a neighbor's Ring camera footage, or maybe the police department collected irlmonsterhighdoll's TikTok videos themselves.
I have never said definitively that there is Ring camera footage. In my opinion, that there is camera footage based on the police department Facebook post where they talk about independent footage. Okay, whether that's a neighbor's camera, whether that's like a Nest, whether that's a Google camera, whether that's a Ring camera. Now, what I believe it to be is probably someone's Ring camera footage. Probably. I have no confirmation of that. I don't know where the New York Post got their source from, okay, or Yahoo News got their source from, or TMZ got their source from. All right.
It's funny to me that you guys are doing the exact same thing you did at the beginning of this DoorDash girl controversy, where some random person just says, oh, this is what actually happened, and hundreds of thousands of you just went along with it. Like, there is still no proof that this girl opened the door. Like, there are news articles saying, oh, well, the police said that she opened the door, and then you look for a source on that, like an actual verified, press briefing from the police or like a statement they put out. It doesn't exist. The source is that these articles are just making it the fuck up.
And the other argument people like to use, irlmonsterhighdoll said that she opened or went inside the house of the DoorDash customer. Still, obviously, no evidence of her ever saying anything like that. Even though we have police reports, police blotters, we have this statement from the DoorDash girl and the DoorDash customer. Like I said, the main point of Dashergate 1 was to point out that the DoorDash girl never opened the door or went inside the house of the DoorDash customer. I really shouldn't read TikTok comments, but I have one comment where somebody said, yeah, there's no evidence that the DoorDash girl opened the customer's door, but there's also no evidence she didn't open his door. Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, there's no evidence that Santa Claus exists, but there's also no evidence that he doesn't exist. Like, no, you need evidence that Santa Claus exists to say that he exists. Is anybody like following this? But yeah, if the DoorDash girl got fired from her job and the police were doing nothing about her alleged sexual harassment, the only way she would have found justice is if she exposed her predator online. It's the same exact reason that predator catchers record their interactions. Because if the predator doesn't get arrested, which they often don't because our justice system is flawed, the predator catchers can post the videos online to expose these predators. Legality does not always equal morality, but does that mean irlmonsterhighdoll should have posted a video of her situation uncensored on an app that has kids on it? No. Does that mean irlmonsterhighdoll should have doxed her customer before she even made a police report? Of course not. The video had the customer's first name and address number. Just from that, Casey Speaks, as well as myself, were able to find the DoorDash customer's full address, full name, court cases, social media accounts, family members. It's kind of scary. On top of that, Casey Speaks exposed the wrong person, and this person that had nothing to do with this situation caught a stray. Casey Speaks tried to help the DoorDash girl, but in the end, he actually worked against her case. And of course, it wasn't the best look for irlmonsterhighdoll to monetize all of her expose videos. Videos that were getting tens of millions of views, by the way. Yeah, the DoorDash girl shouldn't have used the term sexual assault, but I genuinely believe that she didn't intentionally misuse this term. In one of the first TikToks irlmonsterhighdoll posted, she says that anyone walking down the street past the DoorDash customer's house when he had the door wide open and his pants down could have also been assaulted.
You still shouldn't be whacking it off, whether you're drunk or under the influence of any substances, with your door wide open regardless, because anybody could walk out and get assaulted from that, seeing what you're doing on your couch. It could be a child. Anybody could come up on your porch and see that. Anybody walking by on the sidewalk and accidentally getting a glance would be a victim.
Now, obviously the DoorDash customer wasn't remotely sexually assaulting anybody. I just think that in her opinion, indecent exposure counts as sexual assault. Speaking of passerbys on the street when the DoorDash customer had his door wide open and his pants and underwear pulled down, as I said earlier, the police report says that there is no view of the DoorDash customer laying on his couch from the street. I don't know what kind of angles the officer was hitting, but even in irlmonsterhighdoll's original video about this situation, it looks like a clear view of the customer on his couch from the sidewalk. When people talk about this situation, they say that the DoorDash girl was on private property. I mean, of course she was on private property, but she wasn't a completely random person that decided to walk up on this guy's porch. The DoorDash customer ordered the DoorDash girl to come up onto his porch. He invited her there, and he just so happened to have his pants and underwear pulled down. Like I said earlier, why was it never explained why the DoorDash customer had his pants and underwear pulled down to his ankles? Like, obviously, you can be naked all you want in your own home, but you can't expose yourself from the inside of your home to the public. That's still indecent exposure, and the customer just so happened to be in this position right after he ordered DoorDash. He was so inebriated that he was able to order DoorDash, but he couldn't remember to pull his pants up or close his door. He said he was asleep, he said that he was drunk, but that's all he said, she said. There's no way to know for sure. But if we're gonna have the expectation that any reasonable DoorDasher wouldn't just open somebody's door, then I'm gonna reasonably expect that the DoorDash customer was actually asleep. But whether it was intentional or not, the DoorDash girl was exposed to something she didn't want to see. If you drive drunk, you hit somebody, you're still liable. But in the end, if evidence comes out that the DoorDash girl opened the DoorDash customer's house and even went inside his house, I would be glad, because what I've really been after this whole time is the truth, and the overarching theme of these videos is about misinformation. Since the inception of this incident, it's just been a shit show for misinformation on both sides. And does there really even need to be sides? Did both sides fuck up in one way or another? I guess it's left up to interpretation. In my previous video, I was unable to figure out exactly why so much misinformation was spread about Dashergate on TikTok, but there's a creator I really like on TikTok. His name is Cameron Carey, and I think he put it perfectly.
I saw a comment about this DoorDash situation that said, there is no accountability for being wrong, but there is loss of revenue for being late. And I think that perfectly describes why things went down the way they did. Because I can tell you, coming from my own experience, I was scrolling on my For You page, I saw a ton of videos blowing up talking about this situation. I was like, it is a free banger if I talk about this situation. So I made a video talking about it. I said, I think it's weird the guys said they're done believing victims now because this random DoorDash girl lied. Then I found out she didn't lie, so I took the video down when it only had like 35,000 views or whatever, made another video being like, hey, don't believe what you're hearing about this girl. And then later that day, I kept seeing people claim they saw a video that didn't even exist. I was super mad at it, and so I made a video being like, why are so many people saying they've seen a video that's like that isn't real? That doesn't exist. Like, it's nowhere to be found. I was upset. I was freaking out about it. I was like, what's going on? That video was over a minute long. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like, I'm very upfront about the money I make on here. I made $1,000 on that video. One video on this situation, I made more money than I would make for 2 weeks of work at my last job. And luckily that was for a video where I was trying to stop the spread of misinformation. Like, it's really good that that one blew up. But there are a lot of videos that aren't like that, that are very negative, that did get a lot of views. And like, I would imagine they might have made a similar amount of money. So if you ever want to know why people are just posting these videos without doing any research, without doing any forethought at all, it's because the faster you get it out while the situation's hot, the more money you potentially make. And if you wait until, you know, all the facts are sorted out, you'll lose money, which is bad. It's a bad thing that people do that, but that's why they are.
The DoorDash girl hasn't been found guilty for charges yet, and it will probably be a while until we hear the final verdict on that. So that'll probably be the next time that you hear me talk about this situation, but I actually hope I don't have to talk about this again. I'm kind of sick of it, honestly. I'd really prefer to make videos talking about stuff that's more lighthearted, so hopefully next video topic is something more positive. But with all that said, I'd like to thank everybody who watches my videos, and a very special thanks to everybody who made it this far in the video. It really does mean the world. But next time you see me, it will be online.